Hello, my friend, and welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and I am Heather, and I am super excited that you are here. And I just want to let you know that you're going to hear some tips and some tricks, some ideas, all to help you live your happiest and healthiest life. It is called Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, then you can take better care of others. And my goal is to make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way. I am really happy that you're here. Your true self is waiting. So it is time to step up and thrive. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the latest and greatest episode of the Back to Me podcast, and the latest and greatest amazing human being that I'm going to talk to, because I'll tell you, I am freaking excited for this one, because anybody who listens knows that I eat chocolate every single day. And today I'm talking with Lynne Bowman, who wrote a book that just said, Heather, this is for you. Brownies for breakfast. And I've done that, but I don't know if I've done it in the way you intended. Hi, Lynne. Welcome.
I love your introduction because, a thing we don't talk about enough is, take care of yourself because you don't want anybody else to get stuck taking care of your sorry self because you didn't.
Right.
So that's huge. Thank you.
And when someone else is taking care of you, you don't get to say, my socks are crooked and
they never do it right.
Yeah, I know. It's like
that's the punishment. Yeah.
It's like, I hate that blanket. No, I want, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. And let's just start right now with
Yeah.
the brownies because, so as you know, these brownies are made with nut butter, pumpkin right out of the can.
Okay.
And the nut butter can be, if you want peanut butter, if that's what you have, okay, it works. You can also use cashew butter, almond butter. And let's see, what else? Not a whole lot else. Eggs, if you eat eggs, egg substitute if you don't eat eggs. And big one, and this is one that I want everyone to know if they don't know about, allulose. Terrible name, wonderful product.
I was like, what is that?
Right? It's so important to any of us who want to eat healthy, live longer, be fabulous like you and me. And that is a sugar substitute. Sugar substitutes have such a bad name. People go, oh, no, thank you. This is a one ingredient sugar substitute that is a natural product squished out of a food item. And
it sounds so attractive.
I know it sounds terrible, but it's it looks like sugar, it tastes like sugar. Only difference is it doesn't have any of the funny stuff. It doesn't give you any kind of a blood sugar spike. It doesn't have an aftertaste. It's brilliant. And one of the things you're going to have to do, I am here, Granny's here to tell you. You ready? If you're going to be even more fabulous than you are now and live longer and be healthier and have more energy, you really do have to quit sugar.
I wouldn't have called you Granny, by the way.
Well, I'm a proud grandma, 3 grandchildren.
Wow.
And also, I love to brag about this because I didn't think I'd make it. Next week, I will begin my 80th year.
Woohoo! Hold on. Wait. Is this it?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I am loving this part of my life. You're free in a way. I mean, I was a single mom. I had 3 kids. I had a couple of careers, maybe 3, I forget. It was always a bit crazy, and you never had enough money, and you never had enough room, and at this stage of my life, that's my kids doing all that,
right.
Which I'm sorry, and I'm here to support in ways. But I get to not have to do all that. I mean, we're talking about the job of podcasting and
right. Yeah.
what we do because we feel like we have a mission. And that's my social life. I think it's so interesting and fun to meet people from all over the world. I'm sure same for you,
Oh, yeah.
who share my passion for don't eat crap.
Right. But okay, so what do they squish allulose out of?
I believe it's corn
Okay.
typically. And I actually, one of my next little research projects is I want to talk to the allulose people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to know more. It's a thing. I was in Los Angeles and I just did a walk up and down Montana Avenue in Santa Monica, which is a sort of shishi shopping area, but also very California. And all the women are in stretchy stuff on the street, and they all look like they just left Pilates.
Of course they
Um,
did.
of course they did. So I went into all of the food source stores and looked at what they offered in sugar-free stuff, sugar substitutes, or maybe candy that was sugar-free. And couldn't, I mean, I couldn't believe what I saw and what I didn't see. Whole Foods had nothing but erythritol spiked monk fruit
I
for
don't e it doesn't sound good.
and it's not. It's a sugar alcohol. And by the way, all this is in my book.
Okay.
So because I don't want it to be confusing for anybody. And just get the book and then you can read about this and I won't talk about it anymore.
Right.
But it's important to know that there are two great sugar substitutes out there that will change your life, that will mean you can get off sugar forever. You won't need it anymore because you're going to stop eating processed foods in bags, right?
Right.
We're going to go whole food, real food, mostly plants.
Right.
And if you eat meat and eggs, they need to come from emotionally well-adjusted, college-educated cattle and goats and
Did
things.
you ever watch Portlandia where they went to find out where the
Of
chicken?
course, it's brilliant, brilliant stuff.
It was so funny.
It's
Now,
so
so I was curious because, like, at one point when I was trying to get off sugar, xylitol was a thing. I'll tell you, my stomach went, "Hell
no,
no, you're not eating that crap."
no, most people cannot tolerate xylitol.
My goodness, I had no idea. This
Yeah,
this was before I knew anything.
yeah, and if this is not a show for conspiracy theories, I
No,
know.
no.
But it could be argued that the sugar people put out those icky sugar substitutes so that people will go, oh, I'll never eat that again. I'm going back to just regular sugar.
Well, now cane sugar is all the thing, right? Oh, now made with natural cane sugar instead of corn
That's
syrup,
all any sugar ever was. Stop it.
but they get to remarket it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a recovering marketing person.
This
So,
is so this is where we have to go right where I would like to go right now,
okay.
because you've written this amazing book, which we're going to talk about more, where you told me, what did you say? It has the answers to the universe. So we're
Yes.
going to talk about it some more.
Yes.
But what happened that made you write this book? Like, what was this?
Well,
Because I know you were a marketer and all these other things.
it's not my first book.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a couple of books. Well, the first book that I published because self-publishing was brand new, and so of course I wanted to experiment with it. And I wrote a book called Fast, Cheap, and Skinny with a friend, which was a, a recipe book, and I should have it sitting around here somewhere with my cartoons in it. And
It wasn't along the lines of the Yum and Yummer ladies, was it?
oh, I don't know the
Or
young.
the what was that? The spoon? I can't remember. There was a few funny, like, cookbooks around at the same
Well,
time.
this was 90s, and it was
Okay.
when, the exercising,
Oh,
was kind of a big thing. So, anyway, there was that, and then, with my friend Deidre Hall, I did, Deidre Hall's How Does She Do It? And Deidre Hall's Kitchen Close-Up, and those were sort of precursors to this book, where, the recipes that I relied on and the things I knew went into the book with the things that Dee wanted to know more about and that she knew. And she encouraged me to do it, wanted me to do it with her, because My superpower with my friends, my social life, was I knew how to get something on the table in 15 minutes. You'll race home, you got kids, you got dogs, you got all this stuff crazy, but boom, you managed. And my social life was all around my kitchen table, because kids, animal,
And a
house.
superpower of dinner in 15 minutes does not mean something from the freezer that you slap in the microwave.
Actually, in some cases, if you know how to do it, you can do that.
But we're not talking Swanson dinners,
Absolutely not.
right?
Nothing that you unwrap with a label on it. This is all, and one of the secrets of the universe is, Heather, you got to cook, you got to chop something. You cannot grab and go and be healthy.
I call that food that takes work.
But what I'm saying is not much in my case, because there's nobody lazier, there's nobody messier in the kitchen. But I figured out these hacks, these shortcuts, so that I could have the food on the table. But another thing is my kids always helped. This is the thing moms aren't doing anymore.
No.
But my kids helped me raise food, helped me prepare the food, helped me clean up. They were always there at the grocery store as tiny ones. They knew that we didn't buy anything without reading the label before they could read. They knew that that was part of the deal. And the basic answer to your question is I'm diabetic.
Oh.
So I learned a long time ago that I had to eat smart or I wasn't going to make it. I had gestational diabetes, and they told me then, after my 10-pound baby boy was born,
Whoa, a whopper.
all right, a month late, they said, "Oh, you probably had," no, I'll get the accent right. It was North Carolina. "You probably had gestational diabetes, Ms. Bowman." Oh, what's that? Well, there was really no explanation. They said you'll probably develop full-blown type 2 diabetes when you're in your 40s. So just be on the lookout for that. Oh, okay. So
Thanks.
yeah, so like so many things, particularly with women's health and women's medicine, I was on my own to do what research I could to figure out, because I was determined. My mother had died when I was 18 of a
Oh,
chronic disease. So I saw what that looked like. I saw what it did to a family. I saw that it took all your money. It took your family away. It just, I mean, literally, the dog was gone. Everything was gone when I was 18. And so, I mean, and that was my normal. I had kind of grown up with some of this. So I figured out early that if I was going to survive, I needed to do what I needed to do to stay on my feet and stay healthy. And no one was going to do it for me
well,
or
and
even
it's
with me.
like it's interesting. So, because I have a friend who's the same, she was a type 1, but she was so healthy because she had to be.
Yeah,
Now, I know people who are type 1 and type 2 who aren't healthy. They
right.
don't eat healthy and they suffer for it. But it's interesting. It's almost like your body goes, "Hey, I'm giving you a superpower because your body's going to tell you right away when you're not eating well." Where those of us who don't have that are like, we just got to fumble our way through and hope everything works out at the end.
Although type 2 diabetes, particularly, there are no symptoms really. You know,
Really?
yeah, it's not a thing that you see in the mirror or that you get up in the morning and go, "Oh my gosh." The only way you really know what's going on, and of course now there's these continuous glucose monitors and so on, but I never even had a glucose monitor of any kind until, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Um, so because you might have some thirst, you might have some fatigue, but everybody has thirst, everybody has fatigue. So the problem with type 2 diabetes, and this particularly for those who may be listening who are of the male persuasion, they, of course, never go to the doctor, won't be checked, don't care until maybe all of a sudden there's some erectile dysfunction.
Oh, then there's a problem.
Now we care. Now we are going to allow ourselves to be checked. And now it's too frigging late because the damage has been done. So the danger with type 2 diabetes is that this thing is happening in your body that you're unaware of, that's very subtle and internal, and it's eating away at your organs and you don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's and I mean, I guess that's something that when you go for your checkups, that's one of the things they look at. I mean,
Yes, they do.
right?
You'll get at a certain point, you'll get a hemoglobin A1C test. Now they have a couple more that they'll do. And you, of course, need to pay attention to that. The difference with me is that I was asking them, hey, aren't you going to test me now? I need a
Yeah,
test.
right.
And a lot of the reaction was, well, you're not overweight. You look fine, and so give me a test. And because I was particularly motivated, I was on it earlier than a lot of people.
Right.
And the answer is the same answer as for cancer, heart disease, kidney disease, all of them. And that's why I say I have the secrets to the universe here.
Yes.
It's just eat like I tell you to eat, which is very simple. It's whole food, real food, mostly plants. That's it.
And this is one of those, it's simple, but for some people it's not easy, right? I talked a couple of years ago, I talked to a nutrition lady who said, you only shop the outside perimeter of the store. And I was like,
I'll tell
okay.
you what else. Don't even go in that store.
Okay, for the video people, we're gonna look at the book. So hold it up. Let's
Oh,
see it.
okay. Yeah. So here's brownies
Look
for
at that.
breakfast.
Oh my God. Just the color of that book makes me hungry.
Good. Isn't it yummy looking?
It is.
Because to me, I mean, what I want for everybody is more joyful eating. I want you to love your food. I want your friends to go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love, wow. So you'll be gaining a whole new talent set if you learn a few things about making great food out of truly good food. And I do grow a lot of my own food because I live in the country, but you can grow food in pots, you can grow food in buckets, and I highly recommend it, especially if you have kids.
Right.
Kids will eat what kids grow, and kids will eat what kids cook. So I don't want to
Right.
hear any whining from anybody about my kids just don't, macaroni and cheese. Mm-mm.
I can remember my nephew who's now, I think he's 30s and he's 30. When he was a little kid, he would not eat vegetables and everything had to have ketchup on it.
Oh,
It's like,
you're
what?
hurting me now.
What the? Oh my goodness, kid. Seriously?
Well, and this touches on the cultural aspects of it. As someone who loves food and loves to entertain, and so on, why do you want to eat in the back of a car out of a bag?
Right.
Uh,
And this talks a lot about how we don't actually give ourselves time for the things like taking care of yourself is in more than just, sleep and hydration. It is food and it is sitting down to eat instead of eating at your desk.
and food is love and connection and community and religion. I mean, you can go all the way. It's a very spiritual thing. We are mammals who like to share our food. It's normal and healthy to share food. Uh,
Well, it's so normal that every time you have a gathering, people end up standing in the kitchen.
yes, yes,
That's what we do.
yeah.
Living room, couches, forget it. We need to be standing in the kitchen.
And I know I said this in my book, but and I'm a grandma, and so you come to my house and it's, honey, sit down, have some soup. right? Just like every grandma in every language ever. And soup, by the way, is something I talk about a lot because I want you to eat every dang thing in your fridge. I want you to clean it out. I want you to not waste any food. And part of that is eating better. And there's a soup recipe in here, which is very flexible. And it's basically, here's how you begin the soup. It's called genius soup for the obvious reason that it is freaking genius. So you just, and it's the kind of same thing that you've heard a million grandmas. It's onions and celery and carrots chopped, sautéed, and then you start throwing things in. And you open your fridge up and you open those crispers up, and that stuff that kale that you bought kind of with good intentions, and it's in there going, oh God. Pull it out, chop it up, throw it in the soup. Cabbage, arugula. I mean, the more leafy stuff, that spinach that you can throw in that soup, the richer, more delicious, the more nutritious it is. And you've used up all those greens that aren't looking real good anymore, but they're okay. Eat them,
Right. It's funny
Eat
because I actually don't do any cooking. None. Not a speck. Oh, sometimes I'll do Instant Pot Sunday, but because it's like a game. My husband cooks everything,
Oh, okay. All right.
and his mother
So
taught
this
him
book
how to
is
cook.
for him.
Yes, well, I'll make the brownies, but I've always been more of a baker, but his mother taught him to cook, and
Good for her.
his parents are Chinese, so it's all very the vegetables have to be fresh. And when you make the soup, it has to be all of the vegetables go in, and he's good at that stuff. I look in the fridge and I go, nothing to eat. And then 20 minutes later, kaboom, the magic table. There's something good to eat.
Well, you're a lucky woman. But
I am blessed. I'm
I
blessed.
promise you, that's not the kind of, I mean, I'm the kind of cook. First of all, I'm frugal is it is a euphemism for me. Okay. Um, so I want it all eaten up, and I love growing food and pulling it out of the dirt and washing it off and cooking it. But the reality of the way we live is it's not always going to be top notch. You didn't just go to the market today and get that stuff. Um, and so I want people, and that's what this book is a lot about. I want people to know how to make something wonderful out of what they've got. Eat what
Right.
you've got. You can't run down the street and get a little more turmeric or a little, no.
Well, and it's interesting. Like, I don't know what you think about all of these food delivery places now. Like, we have HelloFresh and all these boxes that'll show up with exactly half of a red pepper, and it gives you the recipe. And I'm like, that's just so, I guess it's one step closer to eating healthy, but it
Yeah.
still feels kind of disconnected.
I don't have any personal experience with those because I live so far in the country that
They wouldn't come to see you.
they would not come to see me. But I do have neighbors who raise food, and I have. In fact, I have a darling couple with two little boys that came to dinner, and he wanted to thank me with something and said, "Could I give you a goat leg?" And so what are you going to do but say, "Oh, honey, that's so sweet. I said, okay, it'll be frozen. I'll put it in my mailbox. So when you drive by, you can just grab it out of there." Okay. So,
That's very old school, like way old school.
well, and so I picked it up. I put it in my fridge. I started to do a little research. And there were kind of basically two ways to go. There was the Mexican way or the French way. And I'm a little more comfortable with the herbs and so on involved with, I mean, we definitely eat a lot of Mexican fusion stuff, but I thought, okay, I'll go French with this. And it took a whole bottle of Pinot Noir to marinate it
Right.
and herbs and so on. It was beyond fabulous. I mean, it was so good. And I was a little uneasy that we were eating somebody's baby. It was as I recall, that the goat actually had a name and so on, but I had to, for some reason.
You know,
Yeah. But
it's
anyway,
interesting. Like, I do eat meat, but it's interesting when we made the conscious intention to switch to, ethically raised, cared for, the taste difference I did not expect.
yes. And we honored the goat by absolutely loving every bite of it. I mean, it was
Mm.
beyond fabulous. So it's not a thing I'll probably be doing again anytime soon. But yes, if you're whatever you eat, make it high quality. Make it the best you can possibly
And
put on.
infuse some love in there, man.
Yeah,
Like your goat tasted great because you were sending some love out to that little life force.
and I have pictures of the darling little boys that were friends with that goat and
Right.
all that.
Now, your book, did you say it was on Amazon?
It is definitely on Amazon. You can, if you would not want to buy it on Amazon, ask for it at your local bookseller and do me a favor and say, "You don't have it? It's blowing up. Are you crazy? It's the most amazing book." They will get it for you from their wholesaler. And if not, you get in touch with me and I'll see what you
I'll
get.
go down to my local chapters and Indigo and demand that they bring it in.
There you go. There you go. And it comes in a hardback, it comes in a paperback, but it also comes in Audible. And people have really surprised me. And I recorded it myself. So you're going to hear Granny in your ear as you drive along. But people seem to enjoy, who knew? It has a lot of stories in it.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't know if I can do a recipe from a story from like
Well,
Audible.
I'm getting there in just a second.
All
But
right.
a lot of it is about sort of my life and how I got here and granny stuff, blah blah blah, how to live your life. Listen to me. Um, but it's I've had people say they did enjoy listening because a lot of my recipes, Heather, are 2 ingredients or
Right.
3 ingredients.
Easy.
They're so easy. And again, I'm messy. I don't always measure stuff. Unlike baking, professional baking, where it all has to be, my brownies, you screw up, you put a little too much chocolate in it, or, maybe,
There's no such thing.
oh, well, okay, there you go. Um, but trust me, I mean, cinnamon, yeah, just dump some in, you're good. It's easy and it's great for kids to cook from or for 85-year-old grandpa to cook from. Very easy. And it's familiar stuff for the most part. The only thing that's going to be different for you is the sugar substitute because they're
Allulose. I had to write.
allulose, because there's no actual sugar in this book,
Well, ose means it's like a sugar, right? So that's the
like
ose.
sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very cool. And now we spoke about a Substack. You have a Substack.
I do have a Substack, and it's
We should maybe
easy.
tell people what a Substack is.
A Substack is just a newsletter. It's just a personal way that I can be in your inbox every week. And right now, I'm just putting out one a week, and it's mostly food. It's not long, and you'll find it just at, I think it's at Lynne Bowman .substack.com.
We're going to put it in the show notes just to make
Good.
sure.
Just
So
remember there's an E on Lynn, and you'll get me.
my mom's is the same.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, Lynn spells her name correctly. And my grandmother, when I would phone her, because she was British, I'm like, how do I make the Yorkshire pudding? And she's describing it to me, not what the measure. It goes, just sprinkle till it looks like this. I'm like, I don't know what to
The
do with
granny way.
that. Oh my gosh.
That's
Like,
how we do
come
that.
on, Gran, I can't figure this out. My Yorkshire puddings aren't rising. Hers were always amazing, of course.
Of
Of
course.
course. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So many years of making Yorkshire puddings. So, um, I know I don't want to give them all the secrets of the universe because I want them to buy your book.
They're all right there. But one more is, it's true for anyone. You have to commit. You have to decide that you are going to make some changes to be healthier, happier, more gorgeous than you already are. Um, because it's so easy just to slippy slidey off. And know that if you quit sugar, it takes about 3 weeks, and then your saliva chemically is changed.
Really?
And yes, and sugar will taste different to you. Your body will be reacting differently because you are addicted. You are eating sugar in practically everything that you eat.
Even sushi.
Whether you know it or not, you are eating all kinds of sugar all the time. And so you'll become a bit of a pest about it, as I am, I'm proud to say. You will read all the labels at first, and then you'll know, and you'll be horrified. First of all, if you really do read those labels, you're going to go, "Wait, what? This, this sauce has yes, the Japanese, yes."
Rice cakes. Why do rice cakes have sugar? Like,
Well, and clearly there are things like ground flour, processed regular white flour, that might as well be sugar. And in fact, on the glycemic index that um, many of us are familiar with, it's more sugary than sugar.
really?
So, along with sugar, I highly recommend that you give up a certain number of white rice, white potatoes, white flour, and you won't miss them. Because guess what? There are all kinds of rice that are much better than white rice, potatoes that are much better than big fat white potatoes. And please, no potatoes that you've bought in one of those drive-through places where you eat them out of a bag. Um,
Right?
I'm horrified to even think about it. Um,
It's people use it as the I need something now and I don't have time. But
That's BS. I always travel with food in my bag. I always have a sugar-free protein bar or nuts or a piece of fruit or something with me because, yeah, you never show up hungry. It's a big fat mistake.
right?
Never.
Don't shop hungry
Don't show up
ever.
anywhere hungry.
No. You'll
Feed
just be cranky,
yourself. Yeah.
right?
If you show up and there's good food that's healthy, you can eat it, fine. But don't be starving.
No.
That's just dumb.
It's not going to make you thin to
And
be starving.
and I don't talk about weight. I don't journal my food. I don't talk about calories. I don't talk about any of it. If you do what I tell you, whatever weight you want to lose will drop off. Literally, it will just go away. I mean, if you have a serious metabolic problem that's preventing that may be a different case. You need to be seen about that. But in most cases, for most folks who are basically normal in their processes, if you just eat real food, whole food, you can't eat too much of it.
Right.
The food that you eat too much of is food that's designed for you to keep eating, that you can't quit. And that's a whole
And that
other.
your body's not satisfied with, right? Like,
Right. It is addictive, and it's created by some guys in a building in New Jersey. I'm not exaggerating, called the craveability um, industry. And that's where Doritos and all that stuff come from. Yeah.
oh
And they
my,
sit around, they have professional tasters who taste these things because they want a product that you literally cannot quit eating.
oh my goodness.
And
And then
so
they'll advertise it. What's that? No one can eat just one
they're just
Lay's
eating one. They're
chips.
serious. That's right. You can't eat just
They're
one.
telling you up front, and
Yeah.
you just think it's
And
funny.
there is research. You can look it up. You don't have to take my word for it. About with the mice and everything, where they offer them heroin and they offer them the Doritos. And the mice prefer the Doritos. They can't stop eating them.
All right.
So when I say addiction, I don't mean it in a metaphorical way. I mean, you are hooked, baby.
Right.
And I want you to drop it right now, like a hot rock.
That's crazy.
It is
Oh
crazy.
my goodness. Okay. So they're going to find your book. They're going to go to your Substack.
Yes.
They're going to learn the secrets to the universe to
Yes.
be happier and healthier and more fabulous.
Huh?
But before we leave, do you have a final word or three of wisdom?
I want you to eat joyfully,
Hmm.
not guiltily, not hurriedly, not. I want you to eat with joy.
That's a good final thought. Do everything with joy. Amazing. Thank you so much, Lynn. That was
Thank
excellent.
you.
And I'm going down to the bookstore tomorrow afternoon to find my book.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. And I'll let you know how I do on sugar.
I will be checking on you, Heather.
I know you will. I know you will. We talked about this earlier. Friends in podcast land, just follow the directions of our dear grand Lynn. Brownies for breakfast. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, friends. Take care, and we will see you next time. Hello, my friend. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you found it useful and you're like me and you want to help others, please share this, comment, like, subscribe, all of those things that will help this podcast to be found by more people. And if you found it useful, there's a chance that someone else will find it useful as well. If you ever have any questions, I am here to answer your questions. I would love to help you. My direct email address is info@heatherstewart.coach. You can also find me at heatherstewart.coach. And if you go over to my website, you will find copies of the podcast. You'll find the link to my Instagram and my Facebook. And I do have a personal request because I do want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. So if you could give me a review, and my friend, I would love if you gave me a good one. If you could share this, if you could send it out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope that you have an amazing day. I hope that you are finding your way back to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend. Be well, and we will see you again next time.